Torres del Paine National Park is a national park encompassing mountains, glaciers, lakes, and rivers in southern Chilean Patagonia. The Cordillera del Paine is the centerpiece of the park. The W Circuit is the most popular multi-day trek in Torres del Paine. The about 50-ish mile hike sees about 250,000 hikers per year. While many hikers spend lots of time figuring out camping and dorm bookings on this route, you can see nearly all the W in 3 to 4 reasonably distanced day hikes and not worry much about booking campsites or dorm rooms way in advance. The base of the tower's lookout on a good day is one of the most stunning views you'll ever see. If you have only time for one hike in the Torres del Paine, this is it. We started just after 7 a.m., just a couple of miles past the Laguna Marga entrance station, and there were plenty of others on the trail as we made our way up the first couple of miles, which varies between rolling along gently to climbing uphill pretty steeply. The Base Trail started getting prettier when we came up to Campamento Chileno, where the trail crosses the river and continues on by some cool elevated tents where trekkers can stay. We continued on, eating up the uphill miles, looking forward to getting out of the trees so we could get some views. Thankfully, by now, the hikers were getting more spread out on the trail.
It's a nice photo.
We emerged from the trees and entered the last couple of miles of the ascent, which are rocky, steep terrain. Cici and I powered uphill, eagerly expecting the famous views of the Base Torres. The weather was looking good, and we hoped to catch a good weather window when we were at the famous Mirador, now only a mile or two ahead of us. Finally, giant towers came into view as we neared the famous Lago Torres, which sits perched at 3,000 feet. Looking eye to eye with the towers, we made our way across the rocky terrain and down to the shores of the lake. It was still quiet, without too many people. Cici and I took some pictures with the world-class backdrop of the Torres behind us, and soaked in some of the best views you will find on any day hike anywhere in the world. We then found some giant boulders to tuck behind so we could have our sandwiches. We stayed for a good 30-40 minutes at the lake, grabbed a couple more pictures at different lookouts, and then decided it was time to get out of the wind and get back on the trail. We then started retracing our steps back down the trail, trying to get through the rocky sections of the last mile or so of the trail before it became flooded with other day hikers who were coming up. Once down off the rocks and boulders, we quickly moved our way down the trail. The Base Torres hike is really a fantastic day hike, which takes you through the forests across little wooden bridges, and on a good weather day gives you jaw-dropping views at Laguna Torre at the top. Day 1 of doing the W Trek via day hikes in the books.
Back.
Day 2 started with taking the beautiful Pudeto ferry across Lake Tahoe. The ferry is the key to being able to do the W circuit as day hikes. The quick 30-minute ferry took us straight across to Paine Grande, where we had snagged a dorm room last minute to be able to stay for one night inside the park. After doing the Base Torres hike, the second part of the W you should do is going up the French Valley. From Paine Grande, we headed east along Lake Tahoe and up towards Scottsburg Lake. It was another windy morning, as nearly all mornings tend to be in Patagonia. We were grateful that so far we hadn't had any real rain to speak of, which was a big surprise considering how wet I had got when I did the O circuit at the end of December 2 years earlier. We did our best to avoid getting wet as streams cross the trail constantly. The suspension bridges are some of the most beautiful parts of the W circuit, and this section had a fun bridge crossing as we neared the Campamento Italiano.
Too, I know.
We curved north, passing the ranger hut, and started going north up the French Valley. The trail headed through the woods for a while, and then the view started to open up.
Woo, hello.
This section is a good climb, up about 1,000 feet, over the next mile or two on rocky terrain. We made our way up the French Valley until we arrived at the lookout, where we were surrounded by towering peaks in all directions. It was the perfect place for our sandwiches. We enjoyed the fantastic views for about 20 minutes before heading back down the French Valley, which gave us great views of the turquoise lakes down below us. This middle section of the W is a real highlight of Torres del Paine National Park. We were loving the blue skies as we retraced our steps all the way back to Paine Grande and the Paine Grande Lodge, which would be our home for the night. Paine Grande is a great spot to stay as you can access it directly from the ferry. There are dorm rooms, private rooms, and park-provided campsite platforms and independent camping.
This is cool. We got a 6-person dorm room here at Paine Grande. Not a bad view to fall asleep tonight, huh? Looking out at Las Torres.
Cece and I, trying to save money when we can, skip the $45 dinner buffet and join the dozens of others in the camping area who were cooking their more modest dinners. Our dinner was tuna sandwiches, as we hadn't brought a stove with us. Hunger is sometimes the most important ingredient, and calories are calories, so we scarfed down our dinner. After the Base Torres in the French Valley, the third day on the W you should hike is up towards Glacier Gray. This day you can really walk as far as you want to. You should definitely hike until the Glacier Gray Lookout, which is about 4 miles one way or 8 miles round trip. Unlike the Base Torres and French Valley days, you don't necessarily need to do a 13 to 17 mile day to get the highlights on this day. Cece and I enjoyed hiking north along the trail, which rolls up and down as it makes its way up towards the Gray Campground and Glacier Gray. This section of trail can be particularly windy, as it is often more exposed above Gray Lake, where there is not much to slow down the powerful Patagonian winds. Cece and I hiked just about up to the Gray campsite, where we had our sandwich break for the day. There are some cool sections on this trail where you hike through dead trees, past rushing waterfalls, and alongside sweeping views of Gray Lake. In the mid-afternoon, we returned back to Paine Grande and shared a pepperoni pizza.
I'm gonna burn my mouth. Oh. Oops.
Later in the afternoon, we boarded the 5 p.m. ferry and made our way back on the Puretto ferry. While 3 days definitely shows you the majority of the highlights on the W circuit, we had some extra time, so we decided to add on one more day from the Laguna Amarga entrance. Any day hike in Torres del Paine is a wonderful hike, so why not add one more? The first mile or so is the same as the Base Torres hike, and then we left the majority of the people as we continued straight to do the bottom section of the W, heading towards Cuernos campsite in the French Valley, this time from east to west. It was a beautiful bluebird day with great views along the trail. There was a beautiful bridge after we crossed Arriero River. After another 20 minutes, we made it to Mirador Cuernos, or the Cuernos Lookout, which would be our far point for the day.
Woohoo! Mirador Cuernos!
After some snacks, we started retracing our steps and heading back across the bottom of the W. It was one last beautiful day hiking the bottom section of the W. The wildflowers were out and we were able to soak in the grand views with calm weather and surprisingly, not much wind. We really enjoyed breaking the W circuit into day hikes. While nearly everyone researches and reserves lodging and campsites in advance, splitting the W into 3 or 4 day hikes is an easy way not to have to worry about the logistics or carrying more gear. Torres del Paine is the crown jewel of Chilean Patagonia and is most definitely one of the outdoor highlights of all of South America, and the W or O circuits are fantastic ways to see this amazing national park.